Good morning, everybody, or good evening. Well, it depends where you are in the world because we are global. I know Orla Kelly is global. We're here to speak about Orla Kelly's book publishing service and find out a little bit more about Orla herself. Orla, welcome. It's lovely to see you.
Thanks so much, Sam, for having me here. And I'm really excited to be talking about this topic that I'm very, very passionate about.
Oh, you absolutely are passionate about this. And, for anyone who's watching who would like to show their thought leadership off, um, writing a book is a great way to do that. So tell us a little bit, Orla, first of all, about yourself and how you got into this business.
Yeah, I suppose I got into it totally by accident. I came from an environmental consultancy background. So I was in private consultancy. And really, publishing would never have been something I would ever have thought about. And really, it was only when my children were small and suddenly the technical analytical side of my brain took a step back and the creative, expressive, imaginative side kicked in, where I had to tell stories to my children. And really, it was a chance event whereby I was asked, by my son to finish a little story he had started that got me writing my own little children's stories. And really, my audience was just my children, nobody else. I had never thought of bigger possibilities. And look at me now, because people love the power of a story. And I found by me teaching myself how to design the books and publish the books, get them on Amazon, getting printed copies, people actually found that interesting. And I was surprised at the reaction to it. It was so positive. So I was awarded a place in an entrepreneur program in 6 months afterwards, which is 2024 or 2014. My Orla Kelly publishing business was born, and 10 years later, here I am.
Well, I think you're brilliant, and I know you've done some amazing work for people. But I know, you know, so so the fact that you actually taught yourself, that's really cool, because a lot of people would ask, how do I get it on Amazon? And like all those questions. So how do you authentically stand out and create a lasting impact using your thought leadership book?
I always feel don't be afraid to show your personality, because if you're just transferring what's in here onto paper, it's just another textbook. It's just another potentially, academic book. Really, it's what you have learned, how you love working with people, the value you deliver, what people say about you, okay, even when you're not in the room. Look at your testimonials, what really puts fire in your belly and passion in your sales. I think that is the type of book you really need to write, because it'll come through in your content and it will keep your reader engaged completely.
And you'd have to have a particular niche, would you, Orla? So like I work with clients, as to help them find their niche, to help them show their thought leadership. So with a book, so they really would have to have some kind of niche, would they, if they were going to do a thought
They
leadership?
have to be, I suppose, an expert in some area,
Yeah,
that there is a current demand for right now that solves a particular problem in the marketplace, that people are willing to pay for a solution. Because if people aren't willing to pay for a solution, it's just a hobby book. You're not going to make any return. And by return, that doesn't mean direct sales of your book. I always think that's small thinking. It's where your book will take you to build those meaningful connections, to attract your ideal clients, to open more doors to business opportunities for you. That's where the real monetization of your book comes in.
absolutely. And I know it kind of gives you that extra stamp of authority. I found, by the way, Orla published my book,
I
which is
have
not
it
a
here,
great. Oh, look at that, the little book of Twitter magic.
and
Uh,
it is a little book. It's gorgeous.
Well, I wanted to, you see, that's another thing. You have to think of things like that. So, who are your target audience? And a lot of women would buy my book. So, I wanted a handbag size. So, things like that, people have to think about. So, who are your target audience? Like, uh, like how are they going to get the book out there? But I know for me, it was a great marketing tool. When I was speaking at events, I would say, look, who'd like to win a copy of my book? You know, whoever wins the best tweet of the day or whatever. So it's a great way to kind of leverage the book as well, when you do publish your first book. So for people watching that think, okay, well, I am an expert in X or Y, expert in X. So I keep forgetting it's Twitter. Twitter is X now. But if I'm an expert in X or Y, okay, so where do they start, Orla?
I think the earliest they start, the better. A lot of time people come to me and they have their content written and they may think it's the right content for their market, but often it isn't. I'm looking at books the last 10 years, so I know what works, what doesn't work. And it can often be harder to fix a book after it's written
True.
because it's structured in a certain way. So I feel the earliest, the better, whether it's an idea in your head or it's partially written or even written, but you're very open to having professional feedback and working with an expert who knows their field and can help you, get your book out there. That's going to show you as a thought leader. So really, I find a lot of people don't have the right strategy behind the books. There's no proper structure.
Okay.
Your reader needs to be taken on a journey, a transformational journey. And often the sequence isn't,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. It's not engaging enough. It's not compelling enough. You're
Yeah.
not really showing yourself as a leader. You're not giving them a reason to trust you. You're not showing that you've connected with them because you're so focused on getting your content written. And again, that's where I step in, helping authors make sure that they shine in the best possible way. It's authentic, it's genuine, it's showing them as a thought leader what makes them different from their competitors, but in a very natural, authentic, engaging way.
Yes, you do that. I remember that I had some stuff written and Orla went and said, actually, do you know what? It would be really good if you went on to this part next instead of the part you went to next, because you can see it from an outsider's perspective reading the book, the flow, as you say. And and some people might be watching and thinking, sure, I could never write a book. Like, where would they start? Like, I would suggest to people, what are the most common questions you get asked in your niche? So like for me, like with Twitter, for example, let's say, like I'm also LinkedIn, like how often do I post? They're always the most common questions. How can I get more followers? How can I get more leads and sales? It's always the same questions. So would that be a good place to start? Or how
Um,
would you?
I always say, well, who would you most love to work with? What parts of your job do you most love? What areas really fire you up that you could talk forever on? And I always feel they should be your intentions. Well, okay, if you really should write your book for your target audience. Okay, target audience is the person who you love to work with, that you deliver the best results, and they're an absolute pleasure to work with. But
Yeah.
what do they need from you right now? Where are they struggling with? What do they need help with? Write to that particular audience, showing your expertise, showing you're a real person behind it as well is so important. And again, if you're ever stuck, look at your testimonials. What do people
Yes.
say they love working with you? Why? Which posts are you putting out there that you get massive leverage and traction on, and lots of feedback and lots of emotional feedback? That's the type of content you should be putting out there in your book.
Yeah, I agree about it's like Maya D'Angelo quote where, people will always remember how you made them feel. And I do that as well. If you go to your recommendations, do that today. Anyone who's watching, Anne Marie, thank you so much for your comment. We just threw it up on the screen there. Thank you. Um, so, for anyone that is watching, I think if you look at your testimonials, there's always going to be little words that people say often. She made me feel so much more confident. She made me feel like increase my connections. Whatever it is the person has said about you and what you do, pick out those little words. I think that helps a lot. That's a really good tip. And
Because unfortunately, a lot of people feel, well, I don't know what makes me different to somebody else who does the same thing. But you obviously are different. You have clients, so there's something they recognize in you that they don't maybe get from somebody else. And so
absolutely.
really never underestimate the value you bring as a person, as a human being, as an empathetic leader, when
Sometimes
working with
let's say,
clients.
yeah, so let's say there was a leadership type thing. Like, there's so many books on leadership. Let's use leadership as an example, right? So there's so many books on leadership, Orla. So if there's someone there in the audience watching today that thinks, well, I could write a book on leadership, how are they going to stand out? I would suggest, like, I know you've said this as well, look at other books that are out there about leadership. What are they missing? There has to be something they're missing that gap that you can fill. Have you any advice on someone that's writing, let's say, on leadership, for example? How do
Yeah,
they stand out?
I've published books on leadership for my clients, and they've had lots of success. They've gone on to become international keynote speakers, go on really high profile podcasts, have some of their, bonus resources that I've helped work with them on, go on to become, trainers on international training academies, because people not don't just see value in the book, but also what's your call to action? Where do you want people to go? If people see value in that, you know, you will actually shine automatically. But I think, in terms of like how you can stand out, really it's a case of looking at where you where you actually deliver most value and what fires you up, and write on that. Because when you start writing from the heart, your passion will come out, and your book will definitely stand out. Don't underestimate the value of case studies as well, because people learn so much from the stories of others. You
Yeah.
do need to incorporate storytelling, because otherwise, your book will become more flat and more textbook. If you want to write a textbook, perfect. But if you want to actually build your clients, I would think you need to show some case studies, how you actually helped people and the success behind it. Don't ever be too shy to share those type of stories.
And is it okay to get other people to get involved in your book, for example? Because I have often thought about doing a book around, starting a business, and getting other people to contribute. Is that okay to do?
Yeah, book collaborations are extremely valuable, because again, you're each sharing your book then to everybody else's audience. So it's like cross promotion as well. Those books are very, very successful. Plus, it's also a lovely way of getting out there without feeling overwhelmed. Oh, I have to write a whole book. If you just write a chapter in a book, you can say I'm a published author.
Wow,
Absolutely.
yes, yes. And it does give you that extra kudos, especially if you're speaking folks and you're going to speak at an event. It gives you that extra stamp of authority, I feel. And I felt when I did my book with you, Orla, I definitely got that. And when I was speaking, to be able to say, that you had published a book, and a lot of people are probably dreaming about publishing a book. So Orla, Christmas is coming up, the New Year is coming up. Let people know in the audience, how can they start? Would they start by booking a call with you, or what way would they start?
Absolutely, booking a call. I think a lot of it is confidence, because people are already experts in their field. But writing a book can appear to be scary, a fear of the unknown. What if it's a disaster? And because I'm a business owner, I mean, I was terrified. I told nobody when I even published my children's stories for months. I was fear of being judged. What if people hated it? This is not my field of expertise. So I am still very clued into all those fears that authors face, whether it's first time or repeat authors. And that's why I have their back completely. I'm very supportive of them every step of the way, so they don't feel they're doing it alone. A lot of the challenges I do see out there are people who maybe have had really bad experiences in the past,
Mm.
um, and have had not the right advice on the right type of book. They end up writing a book that's too generic. There's no call to action. There's no way of engaging with their audience. And often they have lost the rights and the control of their book. It's with
That
their
happened to me
publisher.
for my first one. Yeah, that happened to me for my first one. So that's a totally true story, everybody. So beware. You need someone like Orla, that like you. Yeah, I remember if anyone buys that first book, I get nothing.
You see, that's it. Like, again, when I think it's your intellectual property, I know some people say to me, well, should I self-publish my book? Go to publisher like me, who now I am a publisher, but I'm a little bit different to a traditional publisher who may offer you an advance, but then they own the rights to your work. I always feel when it's your content, your knowledge, your expertise, you stay fully in control of that, because if you ever want to update your book, have new course offerings, new calls to action, maybe new events you're running, new masterminds. You have no way of informing people on that. Whereas when you have full control of your book, that content can be updated and
Yes.
uploaded again in your print book, your ebook, your audio book, which I do all those for my clients.
Okay. Anne Marie's asked a question. What length of time does it, excuse me, folks, I have a bit of a cold today. What length of time does it tend to take, Orla? I know working with you will make it quicker, that's for sure, but roughly how long would one need to leave for it? Excuse me.
I have some people who are working with me and they're starting from ground zero, where they're just starting to write their book from scratch. So again, I have both a program that's 8 weeks that takes people week by week, and they have content forevermore on how to do that. And live, I'm there to answer any questions as well. So they have a proper structure from the outset. And I will be starting another one of those programs there just before Christmas,
Great.
which if anyone wants to contact me, I will send them the link for that.
That'd be a lovely Christmas gift idea, wouldn't it, for somebody?
Oh, yes. And again, yes, Christmas is a time to recharge, but it's also time to focus on your plans for 2025. So what better way to kickstart your 2025 when come and join me on this program, where I will be
For
taking
your husband or your wife or something. That would be like, that book you're always talking about. Well, here, Orla King has a course.
And it's a live program, and it's everything I have learned that I know works, that I apply with my clients for the last 10 years. So this isn't just a cookie cutter one that you can get on Udemy. This is everything that works completely.
So it's 8 weeks, did you say? 8 weeks long?
It's over 8 weeks. But again, by the end of the 8 weeks, if you won't have your book written, you will know exactly the right way to write it, because every single aspect of your book from start to finish is covered. Okay. I also have clients who work with me one-to-one, and I may be interviewing them and transcribing their content. Or they can also, for people who might say, well, I'm not great on the computer, I would say, well, use your phone, use your recorder, and just talk. Even when you're out and about, talk your book out. So there's lots of different ways I help people. I help them then with all their content, working with them on cover design, on the impact, their message, what they want to say. And because everything is set up for my clients, all royalties go directly to them and full rights and ownership, which is the way it should be.
That's lovely, Orla. You see, I love just folks free. So, I have worked with Orla, and you know what? She is the real deal. She's got that integrity, which really makes her stand out. And also, especially after having a bad experience for the first book. But also, she does help you through it. Like, because I remember I was stuck a few times and you were able to guide me and say, look, if I was buying this book, this is what I would like, so you're able to give it from a different perspective. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing this course with Orla myself, because I want to do a new book. So yeah, do you find that people actually, when they do one book, they want to do another one?
Yeah, because it's such a high. I think when somebody holds their book in their hands for the first time, your book should be an extension of yourself. There should be no disconnect. So again, that's why I get really clear. I get to know all of my clients.
Yeah.
Get to know why they're writing the book, who it's for, what results the book needs to achieve, what does success look like for them, what does the success look like for the reader. So it's not just we don't do ego-driven books. These are high-value, high-impact books.
No ego-driven books.
No ego-driven books. Just really genuine books. For people who want to show their authority, build their leadership,
and help others. Yeah,
help others. A lot of people want to use their book because they want to get more stage time, or they find that more and more their message is being lost in the chaos and the attention deficit that's out there. A book has always had a high value associated with it. Business cards can get lost. Books will always find their way into the right hands, and that definitely can make you stand out as a leader far more than your competitors who haven't published.
Oh my God, you made me all excited to get started on my book. Definitely, I think, because there's so many people that like think about. So for anyone listening or watching, if there's any questions before we wrap up, please do put them in the comments. I can put them on the screen, like this, like I did with Anne-Marie. So there you go. Thanks, Anne-Marie, for that, by the way. But
generally, sorry, it can take generally a few months to do it properly. So I would say,
is it 1 hour a week, for example? Like, is it? I think she means is it 1 hour?
That would be 1 hour a week on my actual program, but then you really do need to do about an hour a day thereafter, so that you could. So again,
I keep fantasizing about going away to somewhere like Faith Leg for a week and just sitting there and writing.
Yes, absolutely. It's the biggest gift you can get. It's an investment in yourself that pays over and over all of the time.
Yeah.
And again, for people who want, I find not just with the confidence, but I have seen my clients raise their hourly fees by 20 to 40%. And the Association of American
That's what happened to me. Yeah.
And people actually found that they got more clients through the content that was in their book than what they posted on social media. So it just shows you the impact
Yeah.
of the power of the written word in a book to convert. And if you want to go on stage, speakers would, speaking organizers do prefer if you have a published book. It just shows you as an authority automatically.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So Orla, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm very happy to connect with anybody and have a chat with them about if they really want to kickstart 2025, being all about themselves, getting their book out there, getting their message out there, attracting more of their ideal clients, seeing their book as a legacy for all time, and really showing them as a thought leader and the expert in
Great
their
one.
field.
Actually, I never thought of that, the legacy part. Yeah. Even for your grandchildren or whatever, like in the future, they can read, and get a little insight. And I think your personality and authenticity is a huge thing that you speak about a lot. And I know even with me, I put a photograph there of me walking the dogs on the beach or something. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's to show the human. I know you're all about that. The both of us are. So yeah, folks, please send her, Orla, a connection request. If you're not connected to Orla, send her a message telling her that you watched this. If you want to book a call with Orla and just have a chat, and you never know, you could be publishing your book in 2025.
It's the greatest gift, and you can actually give yourself, being honest with you. It really is.
I agree. And
None of
Orla, you're fabulous.
Thank you.
But Orla, you're fabulous. And I don't think people realize how powerful this service is that you offer, and also how powerful and warm and kind you are. So please, folks, if you're thinking about getting a book published, work with Orla. She's the best in the business, absolutely global. She has global clients. So definitely reach out to her and send her a message.
Thank you so much, Sam, for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us.